that no longer exists. When Primo Levi, the chemist, writer, and Holocaust survivor, died in 1987, Elie Wiesel made an infamous observation. Primo Levi died at Auschwitz 40 years later. Like Levi, Ishmael died at his home that was destroyed nearly 20 years later. I don't know why he chose to end his life. Perhaps living had become a terrible price to pay. Exacting was the word he had used when we first spoke almost a decade ago. For all his eloquence about war, violence, and pain, Ishmael appeared childlike. He was a boy when he had lost everyone and everything to the war. He had never reconciled with the violence, and the loss of his country never made sense to him. "Where do I belong?" Ishmael asked once. This question of belonging that he left life without answering haunts me the most. Did he belong to his land, to this time, or did he belong to silence and forgetting? When I worked for the War Crimes Tribunal for Yugoslavia, I spent months reading the witness summaries of victims and survivors. Many of the witnesses who came before the tribunal were those who had survived heinous crimes, had witnessed them, or had family who were victims of ethnic cleansing and genocide. They talked of starvation, of the destruction of their homes and community, separation and disappearances of family members, physical torture, sexual violence and rape, abuse, torture, and killing of others, perilous flight or escape, and forced exile. What they often spoke of as justice was really a deep longing to make sense of their loss. When people came to testify at the tribunal, they brought tokens with them, anything that would convey their loss, make them human, and not another witness number or statement. Above all, they wanted their personal purgatories to be recorded, remembered, and acknowledged. Some brought photographs of the family they had lost and gave them to the lawyers and investigators. Justice for many of them was about not being forgotten. Ishmael was no different. In his Museum of Forgotten Facts, he obsessively collected maps and old photographs of his home, proof that his memories were true, that his city was not imagined but had existed, even if they were clippings from newspapers. But the maps did not speak his language. They speak the language of the state, the bureaucrats, politicians, and the armies. Maps are objects of power, and they do not belong to the people. Maps are keepers of a state's knowledge, the distances, the miles, the nautical miles, and where things begin and end. They are not keepers of people's memories. So Ishmael tinkered with the maps and vandalized them, hoping one day he would make them speak his language. "To redraw the world and its contours is my magnum opus," he had said many times over. He would break up the borders, those lines that bring order, into unruly curls and curves. He drew the places he had lost, and sometimes he drew them as places they would have become if they were allowed to exist. His maps committed treason. His memories were disloyal to the state. The struggle over geography, the struggle to define the frontiers of our home, has existed throughout history. But when maps became the arsenal of imperialism and colonial conquest, people, in turn, became surveys and statistics. For the maps of this world to make sense, many fictions have been put in place, and we have been taught to treat these fictions as fact. We imagine nations out of non-existent lines, sometimes amputating communities or whole cultures to make way for a country, and reinforce the lines with violence, lest they cease to exist altogether. Borders make unequal people. I have met many Ishmaels now. In Kigali, Khartoum, Kashmir, London, The Hague, Berlin, Arusha, Cairo, Kabul, Karbala, Mardin, and Nilin. These many Ishmaels are people who live as exiles, as refugees, and as prisoners. Some were forced to flee, and some were born in exile. Others have returned home to their city emptied by bombs. There are those who live in cities that have now been remade into camps, dotted with bunkers, checkpoints, and guns. Their every move surveyed, their humanity first questioned, and then denied. Like Ishmael, they are all part of the histories of occupation violence and multiple exiles, and they are also all remarkable bards, storytellers, trying to make sense of their world's injustices, inequities, and violence. Landlocked between disquiet and desperation, they are not in search of great truths about the world, just about themselves. Caught between history, time, and territory, they are the people who get trapped beneath the collapsing line.